James Gunn has talked up a Marvel vs. DC project quite a few times this year, saying that he believes it's even possible and that he's talked to both sides, Marvel and DC. Now he reveals what's really keeping this project from happening. Most of you probably already know. So James Gunn did clarify that he's talked to both Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige, who of course is in charge of everything Marvel, and Toby Emmerich over at WB, who is in charge of making all the big decisions when it comes to that. And he says both still really like the idea. Both were willing to hear him out. Both said that, it's a good idea, but there's things that get in the way of this. And then James Gunn talked about what it really is, and he said that essentially the thing that we all expected and talked about, and it's the lawyers. It's the, as he puts it, Berlin Wall of lawyers that you need to get through on both sides to make this happen. And until that can happen, nothing can happen. Now again, before people say it can never happen, it can. Spider-Man, the Hulk. I mean, those were literally Sony and Universal properties. They still are, but they're part of the MCU because of deals and money talks and merchandising and being in the best position you can be and making the best of what you got is important to everybody. And if you see a need because it can boost your profits, the guys that sign off on these deals will sign off on it on the sheer fact that they don't even care what is happening. They just want to see their bank accounts go up. They don't care what you're doing elsewhere because they're not even fans. And that's what he's talking about. I mean, we all know Kevin Feige would love to get his hands on a Superman, right? And do his own take on Superman and maybe put him in the MCU. We all know that Marvel Studios could benefit greatly introducing DC characters in, and DC could benefit even more by crossing over Marvel characters because of that awareness and popularity of Marvel Studios. But again, it all comes down to the people in the middle that would all want what's best for their side a little bit more. And you're always going to have that one holdout that goes, but what's in it for us that's more? And they'll want more of something. And that's always a problem, especially when you have two of the biggest studios out there that are going head-to-head in the same space, if you will, the superhero genre, even though it's not a genre, but that's what people simplify it as. So you can see how things are just being held back by that, but don't be surprised if we do get something at some point in the future. Even if it's a, hey, they let us borrow this character just for this, and we let them borrow one, and we control what happens with that character on the other side. Just to plant that seed in there. Because they would want it. That's the thing. Both sides would want it, but the lawyers in the middle are the ones that gotta say yes and no. And they're the guys that don't care if it happens or not, unless there's profit to be made. And there would be profits to be made, but then there's headaches within those profits. Because once you sell a Superman versus a Thor battle pack action figure, who gets more of the share? Which production company is making it? Is it Hasbro or is it McFarlane? I mean, then you get into even more problems. So there's a lot of walls to break down, like the walls of Jericho, before you can get to that.